Not that I expected the Mongolia Special Force to arrest Russian Tsar Putin, no. Mongolia, a sparsely populated country between Russia and China, is heavily dependent on the former for fuel and electricity, on the latter for investment in its mining industry. It was under Moscow's sway during the Soviet era, and ever since the Soviet collapse in 1991, it has sought to keep friendly relations with both the Kremlin and Beijing. But you only imagine Mongolia actually dared to arrest Putin. Well, they did have detained Russians before, all of them, inside Russia, actually. Just Google it. Genghis Khan and the history of Russia, Tatar-Mongol yoke. These guys actually annexed more than just one Russian Tsar. Once they held all of Russia for 300 years. So why not become famous again, even if only for 3 weeks, and call it a Tatar-Mongol joke later on? But they didn't, and Putin came in and out safely. Mongolia has blanked all calls for it to arrest the Russian leader on the international ICC warrant. An honor guard welcomed Putin in the Mongolian capital Ulaanbaatar as he arrived to meet the country's leader Ukhna Khorolessk. Mongolia is a member of the International Criminal Court, ICC, that issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin last year over war crimes in Ukraine, including the deportation of children to Russia. However, Putin still received a very warm welcome anyway. The capital's central Genghis Khan Square was decked out with huge Mongolian and Russian flags for his first visit to the neighboring country in 5 years. Everything was how dictators love it. Armed men on horsebacks, little girls with flowers, many flowers, talks, smiley faces, and etc., etc. What exactly they talked about? Well, a new world order, of course. Soviet Russia is back on top, and Mongolia is its true companion and gets oil and electricity for that. By the way, Genghis Khan was exactly that Mongol Tsar, Khan, who once annexed all of Russia for 300 years. And now ICC indicted KGB dwarf Putin is walking the Genghis Khan Square in his capital. I love the parallel. So what about the Rome Statute anyway? What about neglecting international law and order? I'm not talking about Putin now, actually. A thug is a thug, after all. I'm talking about Mongolia. What do they say?
President Putin is a fugitive from justice. Any trip to an ICC member state that does not end in arrest will encourage President Putin's current course of action and must be seen as a part of strategic effort to undermine the ICC's work. Altantuya Badorsh, Executive Director of Amnesty International Mongolia.
I understand Mongolia, actually. I really do. How is it when you have no choice and your people deeply depend on Russia and its oil and electricity? And when someone from the United Nations dares to say, you should have arrested him, Mongolia, I would like to ask a question in return. Where have you been, guys, when Russia presided over you in the UN Security Council?